I'm Ronnie Caldwell, age 66. Today's date is February 10th, 2011. We're in Atlanta, and I'm the son.
Mildred Caldwell, 87, date March 8th, 1923, location Atlanta. Oh, son.
No, you're the mother.
Mother.
Okay, Mother, I'm going to ask you some questions. Where did you grow up? Describe the place you grew up.
At a farm in Cobb County, small farm.
Did you, what did you grow? Did you have cows on the farm or a dairy? Or?
Yes, we had a small dairy.
But you also grew crops, is that right?
Yes, we had
What
a lot
kind
of crops.
What kind of crops?
We had vegetables, corn, beans, peas, the whole lot of different kinds of vegetables.
Who was your mother and father? What were their names, and did you have any siblings, brothers and
My
sisters?
mother was Amanda Hardy Perkerson, and my father was Bunyan, James Bunyan Perkerson.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had one brother, he was named James, and I had one sister, Thelma.
Did you ever have any other folks, relatives living in your house?
Yes, my father's sister lived with us all her life. She never married, and she lived with her brother.
Anybody else? Anybody else? But that was Aunt Zippy, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you ever have any other folks living with you?
No, well, we had some boarders on and off, but we didn't have anybody live there all the time except them.
What was your earliest memory as a child? Can you remember the first thing you could remember back when you were 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6?
No, I just remember Christmas and getting toys, and we didn't get a lot of toys like they do nowadays. We just got one thing for Christmas.
What was your fondest Christmas gift?
I think it was a doll carriage. I had worn one so long to carry my baby around in. I was thrilled when I got it.
Were your dolls homemade dolls?
Yeah.
Did you have friends as a child that lived close by? Who was your closest friend?
Yeah, I had a cousin that lived across the field, and we would go swimming in the creek. We'd meet with each other and go to the creek. So we didn't have a swimming pool nowhere around.
What was her name?
Annie McPherson.
Did you have other children close by?
Not real close by. It wasn't as thick as populated it is now.
What kind of jobs did you have to do on the farm?
I helped with everything. Back then, children didn't think it was such a chore to do something. We had to help when there's canning. We'd help pick the peas or beans and prepare them. And
did you ever pick cotton?
yes, I picked cotton. And then pull the fodder off the corn. We had to haul it at night. So I remember it'd be so hot going and getting up the fodder and putting it in the wagon and carrying it back to the house.
What's fodder?
It's the leaves off of corn. They
Of course.
saved it for the cows and the animals to eat in the winter.
I guess you milk cows.
Yeah.
Did you like milking cows? Would
No,
you
I
rather
didn't
milk a cow or pick cotton?
Well, I don't know. I guess I'd rather pick cotton. I didn't like the milking of the cows. My mother and aunt and sister did that while I cooked. I'd rather cook, so I cooked dinner while they did that.
At your old farmhouse where you grew up, you had a lot of outbuildings. Can you describe how many outbuildings you had outside the main house?
How many what?
Outbuildings, other outbuildings outside the main house.
Well, it was a smokehouse, and then the barn and cotton house and milking barn.
Did you have a chicken house?
Yeah,
Did you have a place for the pigs?
yeah,
And you had a milk house, too. A little tiny block house that was a milk house?
yeah.
Did your dad deliver milk?
Yes, it was. They didn't have to be inspected then or pasteurized, and he had a milk route. He delivered it every morning. And people wasn't afraid to leave the doors open then. They'd leave the doors unlocked if they wasn't at home, and he'd carry milk in the house and put it in the ice box for them. We didn't have refrigerators then. We had an ice box. You'd have an ice man that'd bring a block of ice and put it in your ice box. And he'd come about twice a week and do that.
Did your dad have a car or a truck to deliver milk, or how did he deliver milk?
He had a car.
Just put the milk in the trunk of the car or the back seat?
Yeah. And then on Friday nights, a lot of times, or Fridays, they'd kill a pig and he'd sell the meat, sell hams and sausage, mostly sausage. He ground it all up in sausages. Had a good market for that.
The hog killing was almost an all-day affair, wasn't it?
Yeah,
What
it was an
describe
all-day
that
affair.
process?
Well, they'd shoot the hog and then they'd bring him and hang him up in a tree and take his intestines out. And then the next day, they would take the fat out cut the fat up in small pieces and put it in the wash pot and cook it till grease came out of it. And that's the lard that they cooked with all the winter. Put it in a 5-gallon bucket and cook it. They take the skin and put it in the oven and get the grease out of it, and then they eat the grease, keep the skins and eat them.
And did you also make a process of making soap?
Yeah. They made soap and put a big barrel and put ashes in it, and I don't remember just how it was made, but it was strong soap, but it didn't have a very good odor to it.
And the remainder of the big pieces of the hog, the hams and shoulders, you would put those up in a smokehouse?
Yeah, but Daddy cured them with salt. He didn't cure them with smoke like a lot of people did. But he cured them with salt, but he knew how to do it where it wasn't salty. The hams were good. They wasn't just salty like some of them are now.
So he would sell part of the hog, and then you keep the rest of it to eat throughout the year.
Do the whole. We'd even can sausage. We'd fry sausage and put them in a fruit jar and turn the jar upside down, and the grease would go to the top of the jar, and then you turn it back up, and then the grease would seal up the meat, and it'd be good all the winter.
Where'd you go? Go ahead.
We didn't waste anything. The hog, they used everything.
Where'd you go to school?
At Austell.
How many grades did you go to?
11. That's all they had then.
Were you a good student?
Yes. But I still had to study. It didn't come natural.
How'd you get to school every day and home?
Well, when I was little, I'd walk across the field to my cousin's house. That's where the bus turned around and went back, because I had to walk there to catch the bus. And then as I got older, I'd go with Daddy on the elk route, and he'd carry me by there.
And then would you pick you up in the afternoon also?
You know, I think he did. I can't remember right off, but I think he did. And then when I was a senior in high school, a friend had moved close by, and she had a car. Well, it was a family car. And I'd go to school with her. But the radiator must have been awfully bad, because she'd carry a pot of water, a tea kettle of water, And we wouldn't park right at the school. We'd park about a block away, and every afternoon she'd have to pour water in the car to get back home.
Tell me a little bit about your mother and dad. What kind of people were they? What were their characteristics? What were they like?
Well, they weren't church-going people. They were a good parent. I guess I was spoiled a little bit, but I was the baby of the family, and I never had any trouble with them.
Did your older brother have trouble with them?
No.
So they weren't too mean to you, huh?
No, they weren't.
They must both have been hard-working folks.
They were hard-working. All of us was. I didn't mind working with them because they worked so hard and was good to us till you just thought it was your duty. I mean, you thought you were supposed to. You didn't do like the kids nowadays and think that they don't have anything to do. It's not their problem.
Do you remember either one of your sets of grandparents?
I never knew but one grandmother. The rest of them had passed away before I was born. And she would stay with us in the wintertime, and she'd stay with her other daughter in the summertime.
Do you remember how old your parents were when they passed?
I think Mom was 72 and Daddy was 77.
And neither one of your siblings are living now.
No.
They both died younger age than you are.
Yeah, they both died. And all my aunts and uncles, and I don't have any. I'm the last one in line except for my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I got one cousin that I know of.
Your house burned when you were how old? Describe that.
About 15.
Describe what happened as a result of that and during the process.
I woke up in the middle of the night. Heard Mama screaming and looked up over my bed, and the ceiling was on fire. Well, we got everybody out, and I dropped water, and Daddy threw some water on the fire, but it just made a sizzling noise. It wouldn't. It was all ablaze, too hot for some buckets of water to put it out. And then we didn't get anything out. Except Mama carried some clothes out, but she laid them too close to the house, and they caught on fire and burned up. We threw one table out, and it's a horrible feeling to stand there and watch everything you got burn up. We didn't have any clothes or anything, but the neighbors were real good about donating stuff and furniture. Daddy had a friend that lived in Atlanta, and he sent his dining room furniture out there, and then he said, take the kitchen furniture, two of the tables and chairs, and everything. He sent them there, took them out of his house and sent them to us.
And your dad and neighbors rebuilt the house.
They did what?
Rebuilt the house in the same location.
They cut the trees out of the pasture, and at the sawmill they swapped them some cured timber for the new, so they could build the house, and they built the house back pretty quick. We lived in a runner house that just had 3 rooms while they were building that one back.
You know, when we were describing the outbuildings of your house, we didn't mention an outhouse. You never had indoor plumbing in that house, did you?
No, we hadn't had plumbing.
And you had a well house and an outhouse, right?
Right.
And even when you built a new one back, you didn't have indoor plumbing.
No.
Huh. Changing subjects. Describe when you first met my dad, your husband, Jed Edger.
Yeah. We went to a neighbor's house we didn't have anything else to do out on the farm except visit at night. Sometimes you visit your neighbor. And we went to a neighbor's house, and his uncle lived there, and he was there visiting. And that's when I met him. And the next day, I had been with Daddy to the store, and we we come back up the street, and he was in front of the house, and when he saw us, he was riding an old piece of a bicycle, and he fell off the bicycle into the ditch. He was trying to see me, and after that, we got to going together.
Now, how long did you know him before you got engaged or got married?
5 years.
5 years.
He went in service and stayed 1 year. And he had asthma so bad till they gave him medical discharge. He went in the barracks, they put him in the barracks, it just had been painted in it. Back then, paint odor was awful, and he choked him up, and they gave him a medical discharge.
And when you first got married, where did you live?
We lived in a little house between Clarkdale and Powder Springs for a little while. It was in a duplex. Then we moved and got a house in Clarkdale. We both worked at the mill.
For folks don't know, tell a little bit about the village and the mill, what it did and what living conditions were in the village where you lived.
Well, it was Clarkdale, and people that lived in there worked at Coates and Clark.
And what did they make at that mill?
Thread. It was an interesting process. They had come from the bales of cotton that they had. They opened them up, and they went all through the 3 stories of the mill, and when they came out, there was thread. But they had to send it to another mill that Coates and Clark owned to finish it.
Did you work at the mill before you had children?
Yes, I worked for until you were born, and I stayed out with you and had 5 children. I stayed out till the youngest one was about 8 years old, and my daughter kept him.
What jobs did you do at the mill?
I did winding when I first worked, and then after I went back, I worked in the quality assurance department. We tested the thread.
Did you like working at the mill?
I enjoyed it. We had a bunch of good ladies. In fact, a couple of them still comes to visit me every week.
Did you have someone while you were an adult that you would call your best friend, or just a group of friends?
I've had several best friends.
Tell me about your children and their age difference and the process of giving birth to 5 children.
Well, my first one was born when I was 19.
You were married when you were 19, is that right?
Yeah, I married when I was 19.
And you had your first child at what age?
22. And I had 4 boys and 1 girl.
And the first child was born at home.
Yeah, I was going to be smart and have him at home, I thought. But I had complications, and I had to carry me to Atlanta to the hospital. And then he had the colic, and he cried for 3 months. And I'd sit with and hold him and cry because I didn't know what else to do. He finally got all right, though. And he's a successful man now.
Did your children have many serious illnesses when they were growing up?
Not really. They just had measles and chicken pox and all childhood diseases.
Did your sons play sports?
They were sports
Sons and daughters,
crazy.
too.
They played football and baseball and basketball, anything that come along they played. And we lived close to a swimming pool that belonged to Coates and Clark, and it cost, you had to pay 50 cents a year if you wanted a season ticket. And they stayed in the swimming pool in the summertime. They gave a war a trophy every year for a contest they had at the pool, and the Caldwells won. All of them and my brother's children, they won everything every year, just about it. The village was a nice place to live because the rooms were real cheap. And they cut your grass and your water was free.
Did you socialize with your neighbors in the village?
Yes, everybody knew everybody else. And they wouldn't mind that if you make the neighbor's children tell him what to do or when to go home, or if you saw him doing anything he shouldn't do, you'd tell his parents or tell him, correct him, and nobody ever got mad about it because that's just the way we lived. We just kept each other's children.
Did you lock your doors at night?
No, we didn't bother to do that.
Was there any crime around? Much crime or violence?
Oh, no. Crime?
Yeah, crime.
No, it wasn't much of it. We didn't.
Tell me about your relationship with the Clarkdale Methodist Church and what that means to you.
It means a lot to me. I still hear from them. They still send a bulletin every week. Even if I can't go to church, I can keep up with what's going on. I carried the children to church and Sunday school until they went to college, and then most of them quit.
What jobs did you do at the church?
Well, I've headed the committees. I've taught Sunday school. I've taught Bible school.
You did, what's the school called in the summertime? Where you have it for 2 weeks straight. What's that called?
Where you have what?
School in the summertime at the church.
Bible study, church. I can't think of it right now.
Me either. But you got involved in that a lot too.
Yeah, I direct it.
Backing up a little bit, World War II. What kind of impact did that have on? I know my dad was in it for a year or so before he got asthma so bad. But what other impact did it have on the daily lives of people while World War II was going on?
You had to have stamps to buy meat and shoes, and you had to have a stamp because there wasn't enough for everybody to buy everything they wanted, and gas. Yeah.
But I mean, it didn't have much of an impact except for that, right, on you?
Right. And the Depression didn't have much to influence on us because we lived off the farm anyway. We had vegetables of all kinds and meats, and then Daddy'd shoot birds and rabbits, and they'd eat them.
Even when you were growing up in the village, you always had a garden, a big garden, right?
Yeah, they always had a big garden.
And you would can a lot of vegetables and put up fruit.
And when the kids were little, we used to take them up to Lake Altoona and camp out. We had a tent. We'd camp out. It was a cheap vacation, and they enjoyed it too.
Is that mostly what you did on vacations? We go camping with your children?
Yeah, we'd go camping.
Do you tell me a little bit about race relations and how they've changed over the years? When you were going to school, you didn't go to school with any black folks, did you?
No, there wasn't any blacks.
Were any black folks working at the mill?
There wasn't many that worked in the mill, but there was getting to be more when the mill closed down. There wasn't any in the swimming pool. I don't guess they ever had any in there. One of my sons was a lifeguard before he got old enough to get another job.
Did you you didn't socialize with any people of other races when you were growing up, did you?
No.
Even after you got old, I guess now you have where you live now, there are a lot of people of a lot of different races.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Different races. But still, they got along all right with the older generation did, because I've always heard the story. I couldn't swear that it's true, but I've been told a lot of times that during the Civil War, the Perkerson had 200 acres, and when they came through burning houses and everything, taking all the food they could find, one of the slaves took all the meat where they'd killed hogs and put it under his bed, and then got on the bed and pretended that he was dying, that he was real sick, and they better not come close to him, they might catch it. And they didn't bother him. And so they didn't find the meat. He saved it for the family.
So that's a story you heard. You don't know if it's true or not, huh?
Yeah, that's a story I've always heard.
What were kind of some of the funny things you remember about having such a big family, and stories that people tell and retell? You remember any of those, or maybe funny things that people tell about you, or joke things about things you did or didn't do?
Offhand, I don't remember anything right now.
Do you remember any particular traumatic events when some of your children got hurt or injured, or something bad happened to the family?
I remember one time we had come to Atlanta for something, and when we got back home, we'd left Ronnie and his youngest brother. He was to take care of his youngest brother, and when we got home, we met the little boy at the door. He said, "The doctor told me not to let Ronnie go to sleep, but I can't keep him awake." And he was trying to take care of you, and because you had dived off the diving board and hit your head, and they didn't want you to go to sleep.
Two of your sons were really good track athletes. Held records in Cobb County for a long time.
Yeah, my middle son would have the record for a long time. At the track, they loved track. Two of my sons loved track.
And your sister, your daughter Virginia, was a good softball athlete.
Yeah, she was good at softball. Some of them was good baseball players. They played Little League and Pony League.
I know it'd be hard to do, but what were some of the most, the milestones in your life that you remember most, the most profound things you remember, or significant events in your life, or any come to mind immediately? Besides getting married and having children and doing all the good work you did at the church, anything particular come to mind?
Nothing particular. I always loved to go to the games and loved to see them play. They were always competitive.
What advice would you give your children, or your in-laws? Any particular piece of advice you give them?
Love one another.
How would you like people to remember you?
As a kind and generous Christian woman who loved her family.
Anything else that you remember, or in particular
And just
significant events in your life?
not let peer pressure get the best of them.
You have to what?
Peer pressure.
Don't let peer pressure get to you?
Yeah. I've been lucky. My children had never given me much trouble. I've been extremely lucky with that.
Emma, you got any questions you would add? What else would you add to this interview, Mother? Things I hadn't asked you that folks might like to hear if they're listening to this audio tape.
I don't think anybody would be very interested in me.
Yeah, they would be. Sure they would be.
I just enjoyed every one of them. They've been so good to me. They'll never know how much I appreciate it. I never thought I'd be in this position, so I was always a hard-working woman. I always worked hard and attended to my own business, but
this illness you've had for the last several years is really kind of, you could get depressed, but you haven't. It's amazing what a good attitude you've had. How do you do that?
I trust in God, and I thank Him for what blessings I have had. I have had a long, good life with a lot of friends at church and everywhere. Good family.
What you know? What caused your illnesses? I mean, you have Parkinson's, and then you have a back condition that paralyzes your feet and hands. What caused that? Do you have any idea?
I don't know. Might have been a wreck I had one time. I never got but one ticket and had one wreck. But
How long has it been since you were able to get out and work in the garden and farm and cook? Do you remember how long it's been?
not really. About, I don't know how long it's been, about 6 or 7 years, I guess, since I haven't been able to do anything like that.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed working outside. I love to see something grow.
And you love to cook, too.
Yeah.
What were your favorite things to cook?
I like to cook what people enjoy, beef stew or cakes. I love to make cakes, pies, which nobody wants to eat nowadays. They're too fattening. Soup. I love to can stuff and freeze stuff. It felt so good when you got a freezer full of stuff.
It was like having a safe, right? You knew you had something to eat if you needed it. You would raise the stuff and then freeze or can it and then eat it all winter, right?
Yeah. We'd put peaches in jars and then put them in the cook them in the wash pot. Put water in the wash pot and set the jars down in there and cook them. That preserved them. And we put them in the cotton seeds. We always save the cotton seeds and pile them up in the cotton house, and we'd bury them in there so they wouldn't freeze, so the jars wouldn't freeze and bust. And then in the winter we'd go dig one out, and it was the best stuff with a little ice and peaches.
When your children were grown and living away, and even they had children, your grandchildren, you would always have an open house at lunchtime on Sunday afternoon, and anybody could show up and eat.
Yeah.
And
I enjoyed doing that.
And sometimes there would be 5 people, and sometimes there'd be 15. How did you cook for that varied amount of people?
I just cooked everything I could find. And then we'd eat leftovers sometimes, or I'd do something different with it. Like if I cooked a beef roast, I'd cook hash the next day or something, or eat part of it in sandwiches. We'd eat off of it, too. I didn't waste anything. I was taught not to do that. I was raised during the Depression, and you didn't waste anything.
But you would like for people to show up, particularly your grandchildren, on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I love to feed them.
How many grandchildren do you have now, do you know?
12. Have 20 great-grandchildren.
That's a big family, yeah.
5 children.
Well, you've been a good mother and lived a good life. Thank you.
you.
I think that's it.